I can't cuss because I'm surrounded by non-cussers.
Well, you should teach them a
Every
thing or
time
two.
something happens and I cuss in here, my mom runs in like there's an earthquake or something. It's like, what's going on? What happened? I'm like, the thing just fell over, and it's just
And that means
I
you have
have
to
to be
drop
real
an
careful.
F-bomb? You knocked a thing over, so then you have to curse to God?
What? Because I'm used to just saying whatever at home, so I can't. Can you hear how sexy my voice is?
No, I can't hear that.
I'm panties are dropping all over the place.
Don't say. Ugh.
If only
If
that were
only.
possible.
If only.
That's my superpower. Like they just rip right off right through the clothes. Ew, baby.
Yeah, I hear the undergarments of America moistening as you speak.
The title of our episode, Moistening Undergarments.
Okay, everybody, quiet on the set.
Film Reverie Podcast, take 68.
And action. Hello, Film Reverie listeners. This is Michael Beckmeyer, and as always, I have with me today the Balding Ewok.
Speaking of moistening undergarments,
What
Balding
the
Ewok! Yay!
Okay. Brad Kingston is with me today, but our guest for today, and I'm turning Brad's microphone off now.
You can't do that.
Are ALÉA Figueroa and Brendan Rogers of &U Films. Is that right? I get it right?
That's right.
Right.
Yes.
They have a YouTube channel where they do all kinds of I don't even know how you describe them. But they're funny videos, and you've actually been using this to sort of raise and build an audience, I guess, is what you've been thinking
That's
of doing?
correct.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So before we get into all that, just give us a quick little about yourselves and how you ended up working together and all that stuff.
Sure. I've wanted to be a filmmaker since I was 7 years old, and in college, my producing partner Will Phillips and I, along with a large array of cast members, put together this feature film called Flashback. It's about a movie studio of the future that's run out of original ideas for their films. So they've actually built a time machine to go back in time to gather props and actors and ideas for their current content. So it's pillaging the past for content of the future. And it's a big comedy, sci-fi, action-adventure film shot entirely in front of a blue screen. So all digital sets, and it was a huge undertaking. It took about 7 years to complete. And that was kind of the genesis of our production company, &U Films. And as a way of promoting this movie, which has a lot of parody humor in it, we set up a YouTube channel that kind of treated the fictional movie studio that was producing all these terrible movies as if it was a real thing. And we started making fake trailers and fake commercials for these terrible movie properties. And we loved that so much that kind of became its own thing. And we continued doing that. And actually, I met Aleya at the Orlando Shakespeare Theater. We were both acting interns there in 2009. And she's just an incredible talent, incredible actor, and as it turns out, a great producer as well. So she was a perfect fit for &U Films. So we were making parody shorts on YouTube, but it wasn't on a consistent basis until around 2017, which is when Aleya kind of joined the company.
Well, yeah, I've been working for the company since 2015.
That's
yeah, so we met in 2009 at the Shakes, and had a friendship, but I didn't start becoming a part of &U until Jurassic Job Hunt, which was our Jurassic World parody that I just volunteered my time on, and I enjoyed what &U was as a company. I love working with Brendan, and so I was trying to find holes in the company that I could offer my services to. So I just started off by volunteering for the company and trying to get Flashback out there and market Flashback in the convention circuit and film festival circuit. And then about 6 months later, I guess they decided, well, you're doing a lot of work for the company. Let's start paying you a little bit.
Maybe we should pay you something.
Yeah. And then started working with mostly marketing and pre-production, and then became a producer in 2017 when we started really ramping up the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's always like a need for a producer that actually produces. There's a lot of people
Right.
a lot of people that say they're producers, but not not all of them are actual producers.
I think a good
Brad.
producer is very hard to find, to be completely honest. And I think it's one of the unsung jobs of production. I feel like everybody wants to be a director or writer, but a truly good producer that can bring the elements together is invaluable. So
yeah, it's interesting that, like, honestly, they're producing a movie, and like if you're producing a feature film or something, a lot of times the producer's not even there because they're solving tomorrow's problems. Like,
That's
today.
right. That's right.
And it sucks if you think about it, because I direct a lot. So, because I'm thinking, like, I would never not be on set of the film I was making. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
right.
the producers, it's really sort of, like you said, a behind the scenes, unsung position that doesn't really get as much buzz or genuine accolades as they should, really.
Yeah, well, I think it's no coincidence that the Best Picture Oscar goes to the producer, not the director. But they're the glue that keeps everything together for sure.
Awesome. So you started doing these. Can you call them spoofs? Do you call them spoof videos or satire, or what do you call them?
I call them deeply dramatic short films. No.
Yeah, because that's not what it is. Traumatic, deeply traumatic.
I'm a delusional director. So. They're definitely parody shorts. We love making people laugh. So sometimes they're parody trailers, sometimes they're parody commercials. Sometimes that's the entire film.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun, and it was interesting going from the feature film project to short films because we really didn't do many short films before the feature. So after doing the blue screen action adventure film, doing these parodies were kind of a breath of fresh air.
Haven't you ever heard the concept of make your first film simple? You know, two people in a room talking, or you have to green screen an entire 90-minute thing.
Well, that's the thing. I think Brendan works the opposite way because no project scares him now. He's like, well, I did a full-length feature shot entirely in front of a blue screen that took 7 years to complete. Yeah, I can do anything.
So that's called Flashback.
That's right. Yeah. There's trailers for it on the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Okay. Is it online somewhere, or iTunes or Amazon or anything? Like, where can people see it?
Well, it was available on Prime on Amazon for a while. I don't think it is anymore. It's kind of reached the tail end of its distribution run, but
we actually get Flashback back this year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got worldwide distribution for it. It was on HBO and Cinemax in Europe for a bit. Yeah, and it was represented at the Cannes Film Festival in 2012. So that was.
He's not saying anything right now, but Brad hates you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brad.
So we'll talk about that then. When you made this, you basically pulled a feature film out of your ass, the way many independent filmmakers do, right? Like, yeah. So you like handcrafted this thing from scratch, all the way from the beginning to the end. And how did you get worldwide distribution? What did you do to do that? Did you get it through individual places all over the world, or did you just find a distributor that put it everywhere?
You actually went about it, I think, probably the worst way possible.
Yeah, so we after we had our premiere and we felt confident about the movie, we wrote out a series of, I think it was like 300 letters to various distributors. We got our hands on this distribution book and found the companies that we thought were a good fit. And then, of course, shot for the moon with writing to big studios and stuff, which I think they returned all our letters. But we basically, in one fell swoop, sent out all 300 letters at once, which you're not supposed to do.
Right, but it was just letters and a poster, right? You didn't send them a copy of the film.
No. Just like if you're interested in it, write us back and we'll send you a screener.
Which you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
So you did it the hard way.
We did it the hard way.
Just the same way you made your movie.
Yes.
And out of the 300, how many responses did you get?
We got 6 responses back, and then we had 2 offers. And one of the offers was saying basically, we'll represent you at this year's Cannes Film Festival. This was like in February, and Cannes was in May. So we're like, yeah, that sounds great. So
I'm signing, you're signing, we're all signing.
We're all signing. So we signed it, and we actually got to go to Cannes and see firsthand how the marketplace works over there. It's definitely humbling to be around so many films. But we were lucky enough to make some sales there, and like I said, HBO and Cinemax picked it up in Europe, and we had a domestic run here in the U.S. and Canada and England. Actually, we had a deal in England where, and this is kind of the plight of, I feel like, independent filmmakers. You're at the mercy with traditional distribution of how they want to market your film, and they actually changed our title to Time Lord, and I guess to appease or entice the Doctor Who crowd. In England, and of course our film has nothing to do with Doctor Who. So I have a feeling a lot of people were very, very disappointed if they picked up the
We
film.
got a few bad reviews.
Yeah. So Time Lord, as you now lovingly refer to it, is a straightforward action. You said comedy, right? It's not. Is it? What did you say it was? Is it action comedy? Action.
The genre is science fiction, action, adventure, comedy.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I pitch it.
So is it in the same tone as your channel, or is it something completely different than that?
Yeah, it's absolutely it's right in line with the channel. It's the same kind of sense of humor.
Okay.
It both pays homage to Hollywood as well as pokes fun at it. So it's kind of a celebration and satire of Hollywood.
Okay, cool. So what year was that? What year was that?
It was released in
2012.
2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's had a good run, 6 years, and you're going to get it back and you can do whatever you want to with it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll rename it to Time Lord here in the U.S. So.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Brad. What'd you say?
Well, you said that you're not supposed to send letters to distributors, and so I'm just wondering, because it sounded like that might be one way that people like us might do that, might get our film out there. Why do you say you're not supposed to? Because it seemed to work.
Well, yeah, you don't send 300 out at once, though.
Well, what I've learned with working on the distribution for Bubba the Redneck Werewolf, because I was kind of the one that head up the marketing for that, is sending out letters is fine as long as it's accompanied with a promotional packet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in that promotional packet, you're trying to sell the film and make it as enticing to distributors as possible to try to get the best distribution deal for your film. So, a letter with a poster doesn't say much, at least to me. With that, you want a whole packet where you have a poster. If it's been in film festivals, what film festivals has it been in? Making it aesthetically pleasing as possible, saying this film is a winner. People are going to buy this film to rent it or purchase it, whatever. So, and then you would also include a copy of the film, whereas if it's just a poster, distributors don't know if it's a completed project, so they may not be interested at all, or they might just return the letters because it's like, well, this is just a poster. I need to see the completed project before anything else. And then most distributors only watch about 5 minutes of the film. the first 5 minutes just to see if the production quality is even there. But you got to give them something to watch and to see. So that's what I meant by they did it the wrong way, where they just have letters in a poster, where you really would have sent a whole packet out that puts the film in the best light.
And ideally have reviews, right?
Yes,
quotes from critics and stuff. Like, we literally bypassed the entire film festival route to get the word out on the film. There was practically no promotion at all. And one of the things that you learn pretty quickly is that even if you make a deal with a distributor, they're not going to market the film for you. They'll get it into the venues, like you'll get it into Walmart and all that, different stores. But if you're not promoting it yourself as the filmmaker, no one's going to know it exists, and no one's going to buy it. So
yeah, I would say half the job in marketing or in making a film is marketing it.
Yeah.
And that's I guess a task you didn't even realize with Flashback.
It was the last thing I wanted to hear. After we spent 7 years making it.
Well, yeah, because after 7 years, the last thing you want to do is talk about it one more second.
Right.
And summon some sort of enthusiasm about it. You just want to tell the movie to go fuck itself.
That's right.
So, but and plus, like, filmmakers, creative people. I mean, not just filmmakers, but creative people. Like, I understand marketing realm, but I'm not very good at it. And I'm naturally predisposed.
We're repulsed by it.
Predisposed to shy away from it, actually, because ultimately, I just want to tell stories, make movies, do things. But the thing is, it's almost like the tree in the forest. Like, if you make a movie that no one sees, does it really exist?
That's right.
Sure,
Yeah.
So you have to come to terms with your, I guess, anxiety about marketing, like not knowing what to do and being sort of intimidated by it, and just basically unabashedly promoting self-promoting. And it's hard for a lot of creative people to do, because they are really more about the craft or the art or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
Did either one of you go to school for marketing, or did you just, or ALÉA, you just naturally good at it?
Well, I think for me, because Brendan, I would say, Brendan, you're a wonderful filmmaker, but he's terrible at marketing and really publicizing, yourself or pushing yourself. You're just not that type of person. Brendan just wants to make his videos, and that's it. So for me, when I came to the company, because I joined later on after 2 feature films were already completed, it was a lot easier for me on the outside being able to be objective about the film, what is marketable about the film, because my heart wasn't in the story of the film and, we got to sell this, whereas that may not be the most marketable thing to sell.
Right.
So it actually was easier from an outsider coming in and saying, okay, this is what I think people are going to gravitate towards in marketing. I do not have a degree in marketing. I'm all self-taught. There's this wonderful DVD series that's 18 hours long that's about distribution. And so we bought that. I watched it and just pretty much soaked up all the information I could from this 18-hour DVD set, and
What's
just kind
called?
of what is it? It's called The Secrets of Distribution.
Jerome.
His last name begins with a C.
I'm so sorry, I can't remember, but it's awesome.
They're just trying to keep it a secret, Brad, so nobody else can figure it out.
I want to Google it.
Yeah, it's The Secrets of Distribution.
Maybe I can look for it.
You're gonna accidentally hang up. But it's a wonderful source, especially for independent filmmakers, because that's really how we learn to get Bubba the Redneck Werewolf out there.
That's right.
We're in the best route for that.
Okay, so The Secrets of Distribution, it's on Amazon, and the guy in charge of it, his name is Jerome Corshon. It's Courshon.
And some of the information actually might be dated now, just because how independent filmmakers can get their product out there. I mean, there's so many streaming services that you can get your product out there now that wasn't available when this came out, because
Yeah.
this was about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think it's a wonderful resource for independent filmmakers if they want to try to sell their
even
product.
generic, even if it's a little outdated, just the generic information is good. It's like an 18-hour crash course. That's awesome.
It is. It was wonderful. And so with that, and then just kind of, I guess I'm a kinesthetic learner, so I just like to jump in and sink or swim. Kind of thing. So
Well,
that's
you
what we did.
kind of have to build your parachute on the way down.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I like
So,
that.
what was the second film? Is that the Bubba the Redneck Werewolf? Is that something else?
It is, yeah. No, our second feature was Bubba the Redneck Werewolf. It's based on a comic book that's been around since the 90s, and the writer of the comic book, who was the executive producer of the film, he saw Flashback. He came to a screening of it and really liked it, and kind of approached us to do Bubba. And really, all he had to say was the title. And I was kind of hooked. I'm like, man, that's perfect.
I don't know. The title kind of gives it all away in one thing.
It does. Well, like when you just did a film called Flashback, which doesn't really say anything about the movie, and in retrospect, like I would have titled it something different for marketing purposes.
Time Lord.
Right,
Time Lord. There you go. But hearing the title Bubba the Redneck Werewolf, it's like we don't have to come up with a log line or anything like that. You just say the title, and the audience is going to know one way or the other if they want to see it.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, how did you finance the first film, and then how did you finance the second film?
The first film was completely out of pocket, and it done for pocket change, really.
Well, you did it in college, so a lot of your scholarship money.
That's right. Anytime I win an academic award, it would go into the budget of the film.
Yeah. Well, you're talking to two guys who made their film, like, literally, I think we spent $800, and that was on food and gas over 9 days.
Did you even feed your actor?
They're fed with the crap. You know?
Beckemeyer was at home cooking chicken and rice the night before. That's what that was.
Right.
And filling and warm and some comfort food level, and then we did walking lunches. I mean, we spent more money over time, and we've spent more money since then. Buying little pieces, equipment here and there. So there's no real saying what the actual budget is, because we used everything we owned ever. Yeah. All the way down to the $2,000 Mac that we sit in front of every day to work. All that stuff that didn't really come from the budget of the film. And what about the second one? So you had sort of like a property, an IP.
Yeah. So majority of that funding came from the executive producer, and then we pitched in a bit as well when we. Pretty much, I became director on it, and then Will Phillips and I were producers on it as well, and kind of became a co-Annu-Film production.
Yeah.
And so it was, and to be honest, like the contrast between filming Flashback and filming Bubba was night and day. Bubba, there's no blue screen or anything like that. It's all real sets, and we had a tremendous makeup team that did a great werewolf makeup job, and we had a Satan character in there as well. They did a great Satan makeup, and so we shot that really just over the weekends in between our corporate video jobs and stuff, and from beginning to end, I think we finished it in 9 months. So
nice.
Wow.
And no green screen, so you learned your lesson.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so
how did you hold the picture together over 9 months? I mean, we discussed this on a 1 or 2 episodes ago, like the long-term shoot, low-budget shoot on weekends can be hell sometimes because everybody looks different when they come back. How did you guys manage that?
That's right. Well, I guess by 9 months, I meant with pre-production and post-production accounted for that.
Okay.
Like the actual shoot, I believe,
just over 3 months.
About 3 months, yeah.
Yeah. That's
but to
doable.
your point, you're you're 100% correct. Flashback was shot over the course of 4 years, so radical weight change or
For some character.
hair differences.
Male pattern baldness, yeah.
That's right.
I don't know anything about that.
Within 4 years, you can go from having a full head of hair to where the fuck did my hair go?
Right. Well,
didn't you have to pay for one of your actresses who had like pink hair to go back to her hair
Yes.
that she had in the film, and then go back, and then she wanted it to dye it pink again, so you paid for the back and forth hair dye.
That's right. Yeah. No, it's a pain in the butt. I will say that shooting it on blue screen, at least with the locations, you have complete control of that.
Yeah.
In post. So
did you create digital backgrounds, or did you have actual locations that you just green screened in the background?
Completely created digital backgrounds.
Did you do that stuff yourself, the art, the design, or?
I was part of it. So was Will Phillips and John Mandelli, who was a producer on the film as well. It was a crazy undertaking. If you work with After Effects. We did the whole background in After Effects and with 3D layers. So we kind of called it digital origami. So you're taking if you're making a building there, you have one photo layer for one wall, another photo layer for the roof, another photo layer for the floor. So making a cube, you could make that with 5 photo layers or 6 photo layers. And just to kind of put it in perspective, the back lot, which is kind of the main location of the film, at times was over 20,000 layers in After Effects. So,
jeez, God.
Yeah, I don't recommend making digital backgrounds that way.
How can you even keep track of what layer you need to do work on? If like the 19,000th layer needs something done to it, how do you even know that?
Oh well, it's trial and error. Like we would be. No,
so that's why it took 7 years. It's like 3 years trying to figure out what layer it was on.
3 years just to find 19,991.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we didn't know this going in, but actually, After Effects kind of stops working after you reach 2,000 layers. So we had to find a workaround for that.
That's hilarious, but not hilarious.
I feel your pain. I hit the wall with Adobe Premiere with all the audio layers and video layers I was doing. Eventually corrupted the file, and I had to create a new file and copy and paste it. And I had to, kind of reverse engineer our movie before we lost it because I kind of went nuts. It's wow.
So that's one thing that I will say, and we'll get to your YouTube channel here in a second, but and you got to tell us how you did it. But anyway, the visual effects, like the special effects, I guess you'd say, in your videos are good, and I think that's what takes it from being something that might be lowbrow, I guess you could say, to being like, you could tell that this is made by people who know what they're doing, and it's like silly, like a silly sense of humor. Like if some teenagers did it and it was a lot more pedestrian, that's the word I was looking for, pedestrian, it might not work even with the same script and the same stuff. It's slick and polished, and you can tell that it is made by people who know what they're doing, with just a funny sense of humor, if that makes sense.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Like we feel pretty strongly that whatever we're parodying, we have to at least kind of be in the same ballpark in terms of visual style or whatever. I'm not saying like our effects are anywhere near the Hollywood films we're lampooning, but like at least it's got to kind of come in the same ballpark to land the joke. So
I mean, seriously. I mean, I only saw a handful of them. I saw the Sand People musical, and I saw Pokemon, and there's at least one other that I watched just today, and I can't think of it right now. Anyway, I was thinking you guys could be the digital shorts team for Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that would be awesome.
We would love that.
because
That would be amazing.
the sketches that they do and the videos that you guys do look a lot alike. It's not like you guys are what you guys are producing is up there on that visual level.
Wow.
And the fact
that's awesome.
The only problem is that you guys would have to come up with at least one or two a week instead of what is it you're doing? You put out once a month.
Correct.
So you'd have to get a team of people working on that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I guess. But
yeah, no, we do weekly content, but it's the big productions. There's one of those a month.
Once a month,
pretty much. Yeah.
We would love to do more. But...
Yeah.
Well, okay. So now that we're there, so
Yeah.
you started.
Just real quick, I want to preface this by saying that Mike and I tried. We did all the research. We know what you're supposed to do, and we gave put a few good months at it, and then eventually decided we're wasting our time because we couldn't go. I think we got like 20 subscribers, and we're like,
so
why are we doing this? Let's do
but,
something easier because it's too much effort for too little reward.
But that's what we were doing is different from what they're doing. They're putting like we were making original content, but we were doing like a show, like a 7 to 10 minute like movie review show.
Okay.
And the market for that is saturated. However, it's the only thing that I felt capable of actually saying I could talk about without just faking it. Like I knew we could talk about it. So we were doing mostly movie review. We were doing trailer reviews, but like we were reviewing the trailers as if they were the movies, talking about the filmmakers, the star, and all that stuff. Anyway, so. Yeah, and I hated doing the show. I really just hated it. I hated it from the start because it was a massive time suck, and we were doing it weekly, and we had that on top of a podcast, and I have a 15-year-old daughter, but it's just and it just was like I had zero time to even take a breath. So but what you guys are doing is interesting. So give us the concept of how because you said you did it for a while without really doing it, and then you really took it seriously at a certain point. And is that when you started seeing growth and all that stuff?
Well, I'd like to hear what was the change from when you took it seriously. What did you start doing that made it start working?
Yeah.
Sure. Like I said, it was originally we were doing just videos here and there to really promote the feature film Flashback. That was our attempt to market the film, and we thought, we'll put out videos from recognizable franchises. Parodying recognizable franchises that'll show the audience our sense of humor, and if you like that, hopefully it'll lead you to purchasing the film. But again, there was no regularity to when we'd put out videos.
No rhyme or reason.
Like, every once in a while, we did a video called The Hobbit Games, and it's The Hobbit meets The Hunger Games, and both of those franchises were current at the time and popular at the time. So that video got around 200,000 views, which was by far the most viewed video we'd had on the channel. So we lucked out with that. But then we were also doing video mashups of things that just we were passionate about that would get no views and nobody cared about.
I know what that feels like.
Yeah. So the transition actually happened. Aleya and I were talking about it, and kind of came up with this formula of let's parody films that are about to come out or franchises that are really big, really popular right now.
That audiences may be searching for already.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And,
search engine.
For that marketing. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. So what we did was we started seeing it more of a business and trying to create that there's got to be some kind of science behind it, as opposed to, for instance, they have a parody that's actually one of my favorites that's called Impatient Lincoln, and it's a Lincoln parody. However, a lot of people may not be searching for the film Lincoln anymore, and I think that might have 3,000 views on YouTube. It's been up for years, since 2013.
I think Aleya has all of those views.
I don't know how many times I've seen that one.
Impatient,
that was the one that's
please pitch Impatient. Please pitch Impatient Lincoln to me.
Yeah. All right, pitch Impatient Lincoln.
Sure. So I don't know how well you remember the Spielberg Lincoln film, but you know, in the trailer they'd always show the scene where he's like, you know, we must pass the 13th Amendment, not later, but now is the time. So like that line, you know, I heard that and I'm like, well, what if he's impatient about everything in his life? So, you know, it's he's waiting to go to the bathroom. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom now. You know, the time now.
I need to see that.
It's 90 seconds of pure nonsense, and I absolutely love it. However, marketing that is
Right.
a little difficult because I don't know if the YouTube audience necessarily wants or is asking for an Abraham Lincoln parody.
Yeah, at least not that.
So-
Abraham Lincoln.
It's the Abraham Lincoln parody they didn't know they needed to see.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's still
So
my
what it
favorite
sounds
movie.
like. It sounds like you guys switched from making things that you enjoyed to let's figure out what the audience is searching for and make videos that include that.
Yes,
Am I correct?
That's correct. So the beginning of 2017, that's when we decided we're going to start taking this seriously, and we're going to produce a parody a month for 12 months and see what happens. So we set aside a budget that we'd stick to. So again, thinking it like as a business, like you have a budget per film. Before, when they were making parodies, they would just buy whatever they need. Yeah. Oh, we need this, and then they'd spend way too much on a video. But if you're doing a lot of videos, you really need to stick to a budget, or else by the time you get to your 5th video, you run out of money. So the first thing was creating a budget and what that would be. The next thing was then looking at movies that were coming out, and we ideally wanted to release a parody that 4 to 6 weeks before the release date of that film. So then
Right.
it was looking at all the films that were coming out in 2017, and what could we parody, what kind of we really looked at and like, oh, this could be fun to do. Because just because it might be more marketable doesn't mean we don't have to enjoy it. Like, we should still enjoy what we're doing. We're just really trying to focus on films that are coming out this year.
It's finding that balance, between, like, because kind of like what you were saying earlier, if your heart's not in it, it's really hard to
There's no point in
move
doing
forward.
it.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you got to do something marketable, and I think actually a nice balance for us was Diary of a Wimpy Alien. We noticed that
You guys are good with the titles, that's for sure.
thank you. We noticed that Alien Covenant was coming out on the same day as the latest Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie, Diary of Wimpy Kid, the long haul. Long haul.
Wrong Hall's ours.
Right. So we saw that, and I knew nothing about Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I don't think any of us did, but we're huge Alien fans, and I always wanted to purchase a xenomorph mask, so that was a good excuse to do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Brendan, we were all brainstorming at, what subplace was it?
Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, we're all at Jersey Mike's kind of brainstorming the next few parodies, and Brendan's like, well, I want an alien mask. We're like, okay, Brendan, we got it. We'll and so, alien parodies kept coming up, and with Diary of a Wimpy Kid, again, which we knew nothing about, but we really liked the title, Diary of a Wimpy Alien, and we're like, well, maybe we could do something with that. I think during that same session, you were trying to pitch a Guardians of the Galaxy and Pirates of the Caribbean mashup, but that sounded expensive with costumes and makeup.
We abandoned that. Yeah,
we did.
But yeah, no, we ended up shooting Diary of a Wimpy Alien, thinking that it would appeal to the Alien crowd, but actually I think the crowd that gravitated towards it was the Diary of a Wimpy Kid audience. And that's actually become our most popular series on YouTube. The first Diary of a Wimpy Alien has over 3 million views.
Jeez.
So
that was just supposed to be a one and done video, and in 2017 that was our 3rd video that we released. So that was our April release. We took January for pre-production on the first few videos, and we released a video in February. March was our Stranger Things Power Rangers mashup, and then we did Diary of a Wimpy Alien, and that really, we never know what video is going to hit.
Yeah,
again, that was supposed to be a one and done. And then there are some that were like, wow, this is going to hit. It's going to get 1 million views, and it gets 5,000.
Yeah.
What did you call the Stranger Things and Power Rangers? Is it Stranger Rangers?
Ranger Things.
Ranger Things. Okay.
Yeah, that's I'm very proud of that one. I think we had a great cast of kids in that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun to do.
Yeah. So after thinking of it more of what's coming up, and then sticking to our budget, that it then becomes just an assignment, and I actually like the restrictions because it kind of makes it a little bit easier to come up with the ideas when you are giving yourself restrictions and deadlines. So once a deadline, we make a deadline and then we go on to the next. I feel like we spend a week brainstorming and writing, a week in pre-production, a week shooting, a week in post, and then we do it all again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you
put a lot of effort into the thumbnails?
Yeah, we do. Will Phillips, the fellow producer at the company, he puts those together. He does a great job. Because really, like, I think kind of like with a feature film, your poster has to really entice the audience. The thumbnail on YouTube has to entice viewers to click on it. So
and the name of the video as well.
The name of the video, yeah. Sometimes we're too clever with the titles, and I think we confuse the audience.
Yeah, you gotta, the whole SEO where your title needs to be something that people are searching for, and it's gotta be in the description and all that. Man, that is tough I'm still learning how to do that.
No, we all are. Yeah.
Do you feel like if you guys were making original content that was not lampooning or parodying other movies, but it was like, this month we're going to do a horror film, this month we're going to do a comedy, do you feel like that would get as much traction as, do you feel like there's something to do with your like parody videos that are actually helping boost you?
You mean like sticking to the niche?
We talk about this a lot, actually, because we'd love to do more original content, but I think we kind of we're big Walt Disney fans. So looking at what he would do, taking things in the public domain, like Snow White or Pinocchio or whatever, and make a feature film of that, something that the audience is familiar with. It's so much easier to market something that the audience is familiar with as opposed to more original content. So I think, at least with our experience, it would be a lot tougher to generate an audience with original work. And I hate to say that.
By the way, you guys are doing original content. I didn't want to make it sound like you're not. But what I mean is like self-originated. Like, we're gonna write a comedy that's like our own thing this month.
Short films, I guess.
Yeah, your own little short films every month that are completely original and unique onto your channel with no tie-ins to anything else. I wonder. I imagine the way you guys have skyrocketed over this, I guess short period of time, 2 years. You said 2 years, would be because you are tapping into the current pop culture's zeitgeist or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's tapping into that marketing machine that's already in place for those films that are about to come out. And we do find that when we stray away from our model, even if the video is good, if it's not a film that's about to come out, or maybe we missed the deadline right before the film comes out, it does affect views. There was one video we did. It was Thor Ragnarok mashed up with Austin Powers, so you get Thor Shagnarok.
You just like the puns. That's why you're doing this. It's because you like the puns. You're like a pun fiend.
There's no greater form of comedy than puns. But it's one of our personal favorites. But we actually released that one a little too late in terms of the release of Thor Ragnarok, and it definitely hurt the views on it. It only started to pick up views when Avengers Infinity War came out.
Correct.
And we kind of tapped into that. I think we actually changed the title of it to kind of appease that crowd.
So do you guys release on the exact same... You release on the same day of the week every week, or is it you just put something out, but when you do put it out, it's strategically timed?
So for the first year in 2017, we were releasing on Fridays. So we just tried to pick a Friday a month that we think we could make that deadline, but there was no time. It was just, okay, by midnight on Friday, we'll release it. Now we've gotten to the point where we release a video a week, and it's at noon on Fridays. So now it's more consistent where we know our release date and time is going to be a Friday, it's going to be at noon, and then what will we release? And then again, the weekly content, we do one major parody every month, and then the weekly content might be a BTS video, it might be a blooper video, stuff like that. The main character in Diary of a Wimpy Alien, which is now up to 6 episodes, that has a spin-off now called Greg Responds. So it's the alien character, Greg Zeenly, responding to comments from YouTube, which people seem to love because they want their comments to be seen on the channel.
We call it our glorified clip show.
It is a clip show.
But it actually usually gets more views than some of the more complicated productions we do. So.
Well, what about?
So yeah, it went from just a Friday to now it's noon on Friday every single Friday.
Yeah. Okay. So did that help? Did that give you a boost having a weekly thing, or is it basically the same?
Yeah. So absolutely. So I guess by the beginning of 2018, we had about 20,000 subscribers. So we went from 2,000 to 20,000 in 2017, and then our new goal for 2018 was to release weekly content. And then when we started doing that in 2018, we went from 20,000 to 60,000, so which was a huge jump for us. So we've definitely seen a rise in subscribers.
Yeah.
I'm very curious if you guys could tell us is one of your techniques for the SEO, because I've seen several ways of like going into Google and typing a search term and then seeing how the autocomplete does, and then scrolling on the bottom and seeing what the most popular search terms are. What do you guys use to put decide what you're going to do based on your SEO research, or how do you do your SEO research?
Yeah, well, to be completely honest, we should probably do more research. But the little bit that we do, there's a website where you type in whatever the subject is, whatever the movie is that we're parodying, and they'll generate a few popular tags for you, and we'll include those. As Diary of a Wimpy Alien has gotten more popular, we'll include that in a tag. Because it'll entice that fan base to watch the other videos.
Right.
That's the hope, at least.
Yeah.
Do you use something like TubeBuddy or one of those monthly subscriptions where they help you when you're on YouTube and they have all this extra options?
To be honest, we should do stuff like that,
but we don't.
Yeah, we don't. Maybe that's a 2019 goal.
We do need new goals.
Yeah.
The fact that you're already not doing that, and you're already doing as well as you are, is pretty good. I mean, maybe the TubeBuddy thing is not really as, I don't know, helpful or whatever as they make it sound to be. Like maybe you guys don't need to mess with anything. You're already doing. You know what I mean?
That's true. What we would love to do is just more content. I would love to have every week on Fridays release an entertaining video, and then Wednesdays we call them our in-between videos. So Wednesday our releases for like blooper videos or BTS videos, when every Friday we'd have some type of entertaining video. That's ideally where I would like to go with the channel.
Well, what about, so I also saw that you guys do Patreon, or are using Patreon.
Yeah.
Is it helping, or is it offsetting any of your costs, or are you just now still getting started with it? Or, and if you don't want to talk about it, I can cut it out.
Yeah, no. We have started Patreon. We haven't quite cracked that yet. I think on Patreon we have maybe 5 or 6 patrons right now, and it's
5 or 6 wonderful patrons.
Wonderful. They're awesome. Thank you so much for contributing to indie films. And ideally, what we would love is to be able to fund the videos through Patreon.
Yeah.
So that way it's not coming out of our pockets for all of the videos that we're producing. It can be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
We haven't quite cracked that code yet, so if anyone knows any information about how to crack Patreon, that would be wonderful. But that kind of goes into, we're terrible, like absolutely terrible at asking for money.
Yeah.
I was just about to start to complain about that. Asking for money.
That's a whole other world. I feel like we need somebody that can do it for us.
Yeah.
Because I never want to ask people for money.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say, you guys are the reason you want to build an audience is so when the time comes and you need to flip a switch on something, you can get the word out to those people.
Right, correct.
So, like, if you guys decided to, I'm sure you have another feature film idea you want to do, like something.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. Everybody does. The idea would be, or I would think, is to like get, maybe do some sort of a crowdfund or something and get it out to your 60,000 or plus followers and say, we need this much money to make this movie. It's up to you guys. Help us make this movie, and then boom.
Yeah, and that's kind of going into 2019 because I'm a huge fan of goals for the year, and so far, like the last 2 years, we've got to do them. Yeah. So this year, it's actually kind of doing that, trying to tap into our audience to fund whatever the next project is, because we definitely want to. We have a third feature film that's in post-production that we would need funds to kind of finish that feature, and then or a whole another project that we would really like to do. So it's figuring out the best way to tap into our audience without pushing them away. Because I never want to leave them, because they're able to get this free content, and we want to continue to offer that. However, the ultimate goal is to be able to make a living off of creative content.
Yeah.
Well, have you?
Speaking of that, are you also generating an email list?
Yeah, we have an email newsletter. Actually, Aleya heads that up.
What's your strategy behind that? What do you use? What carrot do you use to get them to sign up for our email list and you get this? What do you do?
Sure. So right now we're actually in a transition because we have we're about to launch a new website, and with the new website, everything's going to be through MailChimp for the email list and for the newsletter. And then through on our website, they'll be able to sign up. It's very clickable, sign up for a newsletter, and it just will all be through the site and then through MailChimp. So, but we have, I guess that'll launch January of this year.
Yeah. And the way you entice people on there, it's a lot of people on casting list, right, and whatnot, in terms of the email list.
What about?
Well, like in terms of enticing them to join the newsletter.
Oh, sure. Well, that's just they get to information about And films. We also have I have a database of actors of about 400. So if you want to be in a short film, that's a great way to find out about it. That kind of stuff. So all the insider information that I don't like to post on any of the socials.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, okay.
Well,
that's cool.
What about? Oh man, I was too busy listening to you and I forgot what I was going to say.
I have a question while you're thinking. How do we get our own Figueroa? Because that's what we're missing.
Do you have like an equally effective twin or anything like that?
Yeah.
Well, Brendan here.
Well, I have not found another Aleya Figueroa. If you find one, send them to Anu Films.
Yeah, Brad, this is bullshit.
we're
we should hang up now.
Yeah. I swear, man, our biggest problem is, that producer person that takes care of all that stuff. I mean, we become producers basically, but we're really creative producers, and we
Absolutely.
we don't do producing the way you're supposed to. We just do what we have to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Brendan and Will were before. I mean, they took everything. They took care of everything that they needed to But also it added a lot more stress, I think, in the whole just filmmaking
Well,
process.
it's harder to be creative when you're constantly wearing that producer hat, and thinking logistics. Like, that's constantly at odds with each other,
Well, it's finding the right partner.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm still looking for the right partner. Right now, I'm using Brad, but I always say it's like one and a half men, because he's not as he's not as tall as me.
Tall.
But it just is. It's hard because you got to find somebody who loves it and wants it as much as you do, but also wants it with you, as opposed to because somebody who's like, I mean, because Aleya, you could very easily have decided, no, I'm going to go do my own thing, and could still be doing that thing just as effectively as partnering up with somebody else. So that's been, first of all, it's been my struggle my entire filmmaking career, is finding the right people to work with. But it's like dating. You go on a lot of bad dates. Got to go on a lot of bad dates.
That's right.
And this was just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of left it, because I never, I'm an actor by trade, so I never would have thought that I would be in a producing position really ever, and it just kind of, I don't want to say fell in my lap, but I love Brendan and Will. They're, other than being, I think, wonderful talents as filmmakers, they're just good people, and I want to surround myself with people that are passionate about what they do, and I just enjoyed being around them as people. And then if I'm hanging out with them, then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I could help out with what they do too. And it's really, I think you have to be somebody that people want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And then when they're around you, they put you to work.
You hear that, Brad? You got to be worth hanging out with. So
I'll work on that.
Yeah, keep working. Okay, so before we go, we like to ask people if they had 3 tips, and you can pick 3 tips on making something that engages an audience, or 3 tips on following their own YouTube channel concept, or building an audience. Like, what are the top 3 things that you guys concentrate on every day, so that you're constantly pushing the ball forward?
Okay.
I have a tip.
Go. You can go ahead.
Okay. So the first thing that comes to my mind, and I think this is so important, especially for creatives, because a project is never going to be perfect. It just never will be. There's just no such thing. Is to give yourself a deadline, and because if you give yourself a deadline and you stick to it, you know that you'll have a completed project. I think that's, before you didn't have deadlines, and that's why videos were kind of...
That's why it took us 7 years to make a feature.
That's right. Yeah. So I do think it's so important to make a deadline for yourself. That'd be number 1 for me.
Yeah.
In order to finish something. Because you could tweak it as much as you can.
Right. Yeah, you don't ever finish. You just run out of time.
Correct.
Yeah.
I would say probably the number 1 piece of advice is make films. And I know so many would-be great filmmakers out there that have great ideas, but it's like they come up with a plethora of excuses not to do whatever project they're thinking of. And to be fair, there are sometimes legit excuses why you need to take a little bit of time to, organize your thoughts or whatever. But in general, I would say don't let budget be a deterrent. Don't let, if you need to find actors, go, make friends with actors at the theater or whatever you need to do. Go out and make your film. Is probably the number 1 piece of advice.
Yeah, there are always a million reasons not to do something.
Yeah.
So just to if you want to do it, then just do it.
Yeah.
And even if and then I guess another piece of advice I would give for building an audience on YouTube, and we've seen the results of this is consistent content.
Yes.
Even if it's something that you have this YouTube channel, you have this great idea, and you have a focus for your channel, it's so, whether that's once a month, once a week, whatever the consistency is, and that helps with deadlines too. If you say, okay, this is what I'm going to release, then you have that deadline and you have consistency. So that way, when people subscribe to your channel, they know that they'll get 2 videos a month or a video a month or whatever, as opposed to a random video every now and then. I think, and they say that, like, if you ever look up how to build an audience on YouTube, I think that's usually one of the top 3 things is consistent videos, and doing so.
Yeah. I would also say,
we're getting into lots of tips here.
don't be afraid of criticism. Back like early on, the thought of a bad review was terrifying for me on any film project. But like, I guess both the wonderful thing about YouTube and the awful thing about YouTube is it's instant feedback from your audience. They'll definitely let you know if they don't like something.
If they love it or hate it, for sure. And that's usually an excuse people have if they're like, well, I can't take the negative criticism for not making something.
Right.
And it is so hard. It's so hard for, you put your heart and soul into something, even if it's a 3 or 4 minute silly parody video, and then people say, well, that sucks, or you guys should go kill yourselves.
Well, that was cringe.
These are all actual comments you got. Yeah, that was cringe. Yeah. I can't stand the.
How dare you make fun of my favorite film? I hope you are found dead in a ditch. I think that's an exact quote from one of the comments.
Wow.
Damn. Well,
we respond with, thanks for watching.
I actually love responding. But like, it's
That's right.
But like, I think it's it's getting used to finding that constructive criticism that you can learn something from. Echoing what Aleya said, no project is ever perfect. You can always get better. So having an audience member tell you something constructive can be extremely helpful. And then there are the I hope you are found in a ditch comments that you ignore those comments.
Yeah, nobody who posts I hope you die in a ditch comment is happy in their life.
It's also not legitimate.
I mean, that's how you can still feel like you won that one. It's like, well,
right.
I'm a happy person and you're not. So the thing about the thing about you're trying to bring joy into the world, and this guy's over here pissing all over it. So the thing about like criticism and stuff, I've found that and being insecure about making something, so not making it is it's like a negative feedback loop, because honestly, and you guys know this, the more you make stuff, the less it matters to you what people think about it.
Yes.
You get more and more comfortable with the thing you made, and honestly, I'm never happier than when I'm making something, and I worry all the time about whether it's going to be good or not, but I just concentrate on it and work on it, and I don't stop until it's as good as I can get it to be, or we hit the deadline. But just by making it again and again and again, doing something over and over and over again, that insecurity goes away because you start to get into a process with yourself. And I try to tell people that all the time. It's like, oh, I want to make movies. Well, go make one. You have an iPhone that has a better quality camera on it than anything I ever had growing up and going to school. Like when I was in school, and then I'm not saying people should shoot everything on an iPhone, but when I was in school, my cell phone, I didn't even have a cell phone. I was talking about analog, shooting on videotape. Yeah, my pager never shot anything for me.
Right.
But your iPhone is like 4K. Like you can do something on your iPhone if you have to. Like if you
also,
actually
a little behind the scenes, Mike. Right now, you told me before we were recording that you're using this vacation time. You're by yourself. You've been shooting a short film with just you all weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is amazing to me but you're like an addict, it's like you got to get your fix, so you'll do it however you have to.
Talk about being nerve-wracking, because I don't act, but I'm also, it's me. And you take for granted how hard it is to shoot things by yourself, because there are things that I've had to shoot like 5 times because it wasn't quite right, because I'm in front of the camera and behind the camera, and you can't be in both places at once. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's a make something and try something, and then once you get that over with, you do it again, and the insecurity part it works itself out.
Absolutely.
So I totally tell people, just go make something. If it's your first time, guess what? It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Right.
But
absolutely.
Your first time is gonna suck whenever you do that. So if it's in 5 years, it's gonna suck then. Unless you're like some random person like Paul Thomas Anderson, whose first film is like the most amazing thing you've ever seen. His second film was Boogie Nights. You know, it's like, how do you go from, like, my second film is not going to be Boogie Nights.
Right.
But, you know, it's that. Just go make something and get the crap out of your system before you can get to something and find your voice and your process and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When it sounds like that's what you guys have done. Over time, you've honed it, and now you're working on, you have a 3rd feature film in post-production, you said?
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of that one, can we ask?
Sure. It's called Gotta Kill 'Em All. It's it's a horror movie based on phone app games like Pokemon Go. But it's in this film, basically, you're hunting these digital monsters, but little do the players know that once they catch all the monsters in the game, those monsters come to life for real, and they start hunting them. So some comedic elements there, but it's primarily a horror film.
Oh, okay. So like horror comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, what was that thing with the beavers, Brad? Zombievers?
Oh, yeah.
Zombie. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. See that?
And it's one of those, the title tells you, yeah, you know everything from the title.
Yep.
That's right.
Well, guys, I could sit here and talk to you for another hour, because you guys have like a lot of experience, but it's time to go. So where do people find you? Are you guys on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff?
Yeah.
We are. So definitely check out our YouTube channel. We do release a video every single Friday at noon. And then all of the social platforms as well. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that's just Andy Films, and you'll be able to find us.
Yep.
And then you'll be able to check out our nice new website in January.
Yay. Bubba the Redneck Werewolf is on Amazon Prime right now. It's also Tubi TV. So that's pretty widely available. And then Flashback, like we mentioned, it's kind of at the end of its distribution run, but I think you can still purchase it on Amazon if you're inclined. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, if you want to contact us, we are filmreverypodcast@gmail.com. Of course, we're filmrevery.com, and I am Becca Meyer on Instagram and Twitter. Brad is the Balding Ewok. Balding Ewok, not the Balding Ewok.
Yes, currently in the process of balding.
You should call yourself Slowly Balding Ewok.
Right. Because I am slow. That is true.
You are also slow. Yeah, but that wasn't a comment on how slow you are. You're balding slowly. All right, I'm going to cut that whole thing out. All right, so that's it. That's it for this time. We will see you guys next week. But until then, in fact, this is exactly how I always end the show. Go make something, and we'll see you next time. That's
the end.
A cut.
Perfect.
Yay!
Film Reverie Podcast is a production of Super Mega Ultra Entertainment and is produced by Michael Beckemeyer and Bradley Kingston. If you're enjoying this podcast, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. And visit filmreverie.com to listen to past episodes, and be sure to click like or subscribe wherever you find us. That's it for this time. We'll see you again next week with another episode of Film Reverie.